Welcome to the Play Ed 3 podcast, where you're the reoccurring guest, whether you're in the classroom or shaping education behind the scenes. I'm Tisha Poncio.
And I'm Rick Butterworth. Together, we bring stories, insights, and conversations that matter to educators, learners, and change makers. Our goal is to bring everyone together to learn, grow, and play.
Hi, Rick.
Hey, Tish. It's a new month.
It's our podcast. Yeah, it's a new month. What month is it? I forget.
Well, which month are we in right now? It'll be the next month.
October. It's October 1st. October. It's October.
It's October. That's
Okay.
probably the best way to say it. We always
Okay.
pre-record these episodes, so it's September at the moment, but this episode will
But
be
almost October.
October.
So welcome to October, everyone. We hope that, well, in Texas, they would say happy fall, y'all.
Happy fall, y'all. I like that.
Yeah, happy
And
fall, y'all.
as we briefly discussed with Gillian in a previous episode about how you call it fall, we call it autumn.
But I love autumn.
Autumn.
Autumn. I know. I want to call it that. There isn't that in Texas though. We don't have that where there's like an in between summer and winter. So I just call it a day of autumn.
A day of autumn. We just call it the slightly wet period before having the cold and wet period.
Yeah. It's like that in Texas. I mean,
yeah.
One extreme to the other.
But
well,
you've got to admit it is nice during fall though, when the leaves start to change color and all that kind of stuff.
My leaves don't change color. Remember when I was in Manchester?
That's a good point, yeah.
And I was fascinated by the fact that all of your leaves were different colors, and I was collecting them on walks.
Yeah. You literally had an entire tree of leaves.
That tree of leaves is in a scrapbook somewhere because I wanted to, you know what? I went on a walk here in Texas the other day and I was like, I really need some different colored leaves to use for a project. And I walked the blocks. They're just brown.
So basically what you're going to have to say is you're going to have to pay to fly over to the UK.
I'd love to. Someone wants to fly me over. That'd be
idea.
great. Yeah, for decor. That'd be amazing. I do love the truth is, I really do love using parts of nature for decor in the home.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to go out and buy consumerism. I'm not going to go out and buy things that I can get.
Yourself.
Yeah, I have little beautiful flowers that I really do need to cut. I'm looking out my window now thinking, I need to cut those and put those in a really nice vase. Why am I paying for flowers when they're right outside my window?
Exactly.
So I'm going to do that. No, I love decorating, but I love simplified decorating. You're not going to come to my house and find a giant spider web or a giant skeleton in the yard. Now, no shade to people who want to do that. Absolutely. Please do that. I just think of it in this way. Whatever work I have to put in to put it up means it's the same amount of work or more to bring it down and put it away. Yeah. And I just really don't like that. Well, I try to less is more.
You're minimalistic in your contributions for what you want to do.
Yeah. So I have some questions for you.
Okay.
We talked to October, but I want to know if you could only eat food from one country. So you could only have one food from one country for the rest of your life. Would you pick American, British, or Italian cuisine? Why?
You know what's interesting? I was literally thinking of one of those three that you just said, and it was Italian. I think that, Italian, you think of pasta and pizza, their main two that they have, but obviously they're also very big with like coffee, and there's a lot more that goes into it. It's not like, I'm going to have a pizza and I'm going to get it from Papa John's or Pizza Hut. You get quality pizza.
Ooh, that doesn't sound good.
Same with
Papa John's? No.
Well, Domino's. You're a Domino's person. No, Pizza Hut.
I'm not a Domino's person.
You're a Pizza Hut
Actually,
person.
I'm not a Pizza Hut person anymore, Rick. I'm sorry to break the news to you.
Yes, I know. I know why you're not a Pizza Hut person.
I like Chicago deep dish lately. Isn't that crazy? Why? I don't know, but there's a place just down the street called Kill a Pie.
Mm-hmm.
like Killa, Killa
Yeah.
Pie, and they have the best pizza. I just ordered it yesterday, and it is my favorite. I honestly, I think I would be with you, and I would pick Italian cuisine because
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
there's a lot of choices.
you can't go wrong with pizza and you can't go wrong with pasta. If you're
True.
gonna have proper
I like
Italian food,
ravioli.
yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. If you're gonna have proper Italian cuisines, having them from Italy is I've never been to Italy, but I've known people who are Italian who've been to the likes of Manchester, and there's a place called Rudy's,
Hmm.
and they said that was the closest thing to actual Italian
Oh.
pizza, and even I was like, this is amazing.
I would like to have
Um,
an Italian guest on our podcast. You know, we are global.
you know what? You
I
know what's
mean,
funny? You know
I
what's
think
funny, Tish?
you know we're global,
I
but
love
what?
how you're saying all of this, and that was last week's episode.
Oh, it was, wasn't it? I swear, Rick.
You're not very good at these, like understanding when these episodes actually go out and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that recording was last week's episode.
I wish you had reminded me that earlier.
Yeah. I think what we're going to need to do from now on, and this is probably something for the behind the scenes, is that we have like a
Rick's gonna
board
have to
which is
coach
just
me.
basically shows this recording's going on this day, this one's going on this day, so that we
Yeah,
don't
because I'm never sure
crisscross.
of your actual strategy. You are the CEO of this Play at 3 podcast,
The
and I'm just
CEO
showing up. I'm just kidding.
just
Okay, well, now I have another question for you
okay.
on really focused on education and tech because we are going to talk about that today. We have a couple of topics,
Yep.
and I want to know from your perspective what's more important for future learning, teaching kids how to code or teaching them how to debate?
Ooh. Um, you know what? I would say teaching them to debate is more
Let's talk about
important.
that. Why?
I think it allows, as long as people are looking at things from different perspectives,
Hmm.
actually understanding the other perspective. So when it comes to debating, my thought process is I can have an opinion,
Hmm.
but I don't truly understand my opinion until I've understood the other person's opinion. Even if I
Mm.
don't agree with it, it's good to understand it because it's showing a level of respect,
Ooh.
and it allows you to really strengthen your own opinions, because you may even find that when you believe one thing and decide I'm going to research into the other side of it, it might actually sway you to that. And
That's
there's
an
nothing
interesting
wrong with
point.
that.
I talk about this in school. There are teachers and certain activities where the students are asked to debate the opposite side of what they believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in years past students struggling with that so much, some of them
Mm-hmm.
sometimes to tears. I think that's an interesting aspect. What I want to say about it is I do believe that being able to debate is such a lifelong skill that I think is lost among people in general today. And what I want to say about that, it's interesting that I've asked you this question, didn't even plan on talking about this actually, because we have our script and our topics already
Yeah.
pre planned.
And when do we stick to the script?
Well, this aligns with what you said. I had a conversation with Jace last night about being able to debate topics, and he's been very interested in listening to people on TikTok debate, and they're kids his age, high school kids, maybe
Mm.
early college. And he was studying the way that the debater was handling someone who was coming at him with yelling and
Mm.
attacks, and he was really studying this kid and how he was handling that and also studying the questions. And I thought it was so interesting because Jace was like studying the craft of debating while watching it in real time. And
Yeah.
we started talking about this level of respect. And one of the things that I came up with him and kind of talked about him with is, it is absolutely fine for, we'll say, you to give me your opinion on any topic. Maybe we didn't agree on the cuisine, maybe we were debating that or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. We all of us have a choice in what we receive from other people or not. And if someone is pushing their opinion and
Mm-hmm.
towing the line of being disrespectful, we have a choice of whether we're receiving that or not.
Yeah.
Just like I believe we have a choice on what we are sending to others or not. Like, I'm not on Facebook giving you my opinion on every single thing that's happening. I'm not watching a movie and posting my opinion about it, or eating at Killa Pie and giving you my, like, I'm not doing that all the time. And I think
No.
what I really want to say about that is debating, in a sense, is making really mindful, intentional decisions on what you are sending out to another person and also what you're receiving. And I think it's really important for students to understand that, similar to feedback and reflection. I did a project with a colleague a couple of weeks ago, and asked for legitimate feedback. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that came up was this level of, and this happens often, I'm sorry, I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be seen as a mean person for saying this feedback. And I have to always say, your feedback is meaningful. Your feedback is
Yeah.
important so we can refine what we're doing. This isn't mean to want something to be better. And in order to get
Exactly.
to that best place, we have to go through those pieces of feedback and maybe feel a little bit uncomfortable in the way
Mm.
that debating,
Also makes
you
us
love to debate
uncomfortable.
with me. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't show people the real debates that we have behind the
No.
scenes.
No.
We can get very heated on a debate, but at the end of the debate, every single time, we both know that we're not taking the other words personally. And we
No.
also realize that there is a level of respect that we start off with
Mm-hmm.
before we ever begin, right?
Yeah. It's always that side of we have our differences and opinions in some things, and we agree on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But the things that we disagree with, we're not here to convince the other person. Like, that's
No.
not our goal. Is
Goal.
to Tish must always believe exactly what I believe, and vice versa. From our side, it's we want to always understand different perspectives, because we both don't know everything. Nobody does.
100%. I think
And
that's the
to have
willingness we come to the
insight
debate
is
with.
is
Mhm.
is good with it. It's good to have that curiosity to
Yeah,
learn about things. And there's been
yeah.
things that Tish has said to me that I've been against at first, but then I've swayed. Okay, actually, yeah, you made very good points.
And
And
the same thing
and
for
same for me.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this idea of debating is something that a lot of people, in the same way that feedback and reflection, a lot of people didn't learn it unless they took a debate class in high school, for example, right? Where
Yeah.
you're really studying debate.
Yep.
I don't know that people truly are coming to debates naturally with this level of respect for the
No.
other person, and naturally with this level of curiosity and the idea and acceptance. I don't know everything in the world that there is to know.
The issue that I see with a lot of debates, that I've done the same. Like what you said, Jace does. He's watched a few on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a lot of watching of these things just for curiosity, from any topic that I'm interested in,
Mm-hmm.
and understand both sides, because there can be
Mm-hmm.
ones that are more from one side's perspective and ones that are more from another side's perspective. I like to watch both sides.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that I do see a lot is uh, it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect, where it's confidence and experience. So confidence is on your y-axis, experience on your x-axis. And what you find is most people have a massive amount of confidence with very little experience. And then
Yeah.
as the experience increases, the confidence goes down. And then
Mm.
over time, it will then start to make its way back up. And that's what I'm seeing is a lot of people that are going into debates are going in with a lot of confidence with very little experience. But over time, people that have done a lot of these conversations and discussions, and there's some incredible people all around the world that do these, and they have spent large amount of times debating and learning and understanding,
Mm-hmm.
that their confidence levels have become much greater. But it's
Mm-hmm.
nowhere near the level it was at the very beginning, when they feel like they are 100% confident in everything that
Mm-hmm.
they're debating. But I
Mm-hmm.
do see a lot of that, and I feel that is because of a lack of ownership from individuals to take on and understand critically thinking about what it is that they're doing and stuff, because there has been limitations in the growth of their learning. I'm not here to say that it's the education system that screwed us all over and they didn't teach us these things. No, because I've learned a lot of things outside of education. So
Mm-hmm.
we've all got that potential to actually learn more than what we learn in school. I do believe it is something that we could probably push a lot more in school to
Well, I was
help
gonna
them
say,
in different ways. It's not about having right, today's class is going to be a debate on this topic. That, as
I
you were saying, feedback and all that kind of stuff is
mm-hmm.
important to talk about.
If you think about it, feedback and reflection, in a sense, is a debate,
It is.
essentially, and it makes people very uncomfortable when you are giving feedback. It's like, well, I don't want to make more work for someone. I don't want them to feel sad. I don't want to be seen as this type of person. And so I think, what was the strategy that you were talking about, the X and Y axis? What was that called again?
That was the Dunning-Kruger effect. So it's
So,
confidence on the y-axis,
yes,
experience on the
yes.
x-axis.
So one of the things that Jason and I do often, and he and I are really good at this, and were reflecting on it yesterday. We were having a debate. We were researching some things, discussing some things, talking about our experience. And one of the things he said was, well, on this particular issue, I don't have the ability to debate you on that because I just don't have the experience that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what I believe and what I value, and I'm okay with stepping away from this particular debate or topic until I have more experience and more knowledge.
Yeah.
And I thought, how mature of him to be able to recognize that before, like, I didn't even really recognize it. And he just came at me with that. And I thought, wow, that's incredible that he has the ability to say that to an adult
Mm-hmm.
and just be okay with it and walk away and go research and learn more, right? Because again, I think there are moments, I know there have been moments in my life where I've thought that I've known everything. I mean, just ask, if you went back, my parents are no longer with us here, but if you went back and you asked my parents, they'd be like, wow, you seem to think you know everything as a 16-year-old. And let me just
Yeah.
tell you,
You
you
don't.
don't, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's the same thing. I think we have to be really humble in knowing, again, that we don't know everything like we think
Yes.
we do, and also being very mindful of how we're approaching conversations. Are we coming to that with respect and humbly looking at it? Do we have the ability to walk away when we don't feel like we have that experience or knowledge?
Mm.
I think it's a huge issue. I not an issue, but I think it's a huge aspect of really just this skill is something I think we didn't even really talk about in our book, but I do think it would align with some chapters and strategies in our book.
No.
Don't
Yeah.
you think?
I completely agree. I think it's a very large topic that you could have many debates on
Right.
about. It's important to
Well, we're
actually
going to debate about
consider.
something else, I think. You're going
Okay.
to lead us into a debate on something that I feel very strongly about.
I am, yes. A bit more light-hearted kind of debating, I think, compared
Yeah.
to the kind of conversations we've had in the past. But we all love a kind of Android, iPhone, Apple,
Oh,
Microsoft, all that kind
oh,
of
let's talk.
debating.
Andrew, listen, this is how I I'm kidding on this. I will be your friend if you are an Android user. But don't think that I don't have a little bit of judgment to my cousin when he tells me he's on an Android. And I'm like, why? Why did you make that decision for yourself? No, I remember we used to work with someone named Michael Monks. Shout out, Michael, if you're
Yeah.
listening. And he was an Android user. And I remember his photos were phenomenal. I mean, it'd just be a basic photo in wherever, and it was phenomenal. It was so good. And I just remember thinking, why are your pictures so good? And he said, this is the phone I'm using. And I was like, oh, okay. That put my debate to rest. So what are we going to debate today, Rick?
So I think the biggest thing was, obviously I know that you're more of a Apple user. You prefer Apple over the likes of
I can't tell you my
other
actual
platforms.
Gmail account because I don't want spam, but my actual Gmail account contains the word Apple in it. It's the junk email account that I have, but it contains the word Apple, right? You and Ryan used to make fun of me for it, and I'm okay with that.
You're using a Gmail account and having the word Apple in there was quite comical, to be honest.
Yes.
But yeah, it's really just down to we all have our own preferences, and the big one that seems to be growing more and more, and we've seen a lot of it, is I think it's really a psychological impact is Microsoft Teams. Because I think I've only met a handful of people who love Microsoft Teams.
Do you see my body language moving the minute you said it?
Yeah, I mean, we can hear it in
I'm not okay.
Yeah, it's kind of giving you PTSD, I think, just kind of thinking about it. I remember, but the thing is, I've seen so many videos of people getting like, hearing that tune from Microsoft Teams that you're getting a call through, or there's someone messaging, and it's just...
I had to change the ringtone. When someone calls me now, it has a completely different sound. And then also, like, I mean, it just the ding when someone starts a meeting, it is a psychological thing. But you think about it, it's like that ding happens, and I'm like, oh, good, I have to be on now. You know, it's like that panic moment of I have to get up in front of the class and do a speech, and I really would rather not.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think the biggest thing though with all of this is Microsoft Teams obviously has become a very dominating platform within
monopoly,
everything.
You mean?
I wouldn't say it's a monopoly because you have other platforms available, but they do dominate the markets both in education and in business. But I would say that why do you not like Microsoft? Because it's not just Microsoft Teams.
No, it's all of it.
But the thing is, for you, it's not like when we say that you're an Apple user, we wouldn't say you use all Apple products, do you?
No.
No, because
I did get certified in some like Apple creativity stuff. So I officially started my entire career and my teaching career teaching at a college, teaching adults Microsoft Office.
Yep.
So that's where I started. That's where I learned all the things. It wasn't until 2007, I think, that I got my first MacBook Pro. And I didn't want that. Actually, in the beginning, I didn't want it. I was like, I actually said, I do not want this. and they were like, we have one and we want you to learn how to use it with your students. And it took me a couple of months, but by 6 months, I was like, well, I'm not going back. I will always use a Mac.
Yeah. I know a few people that have gone to Macs and from Windows, and they're just like, this is far better.
But I don't use the tools on the Mac device. GarageBand, I personally use a ton because I like to record affirmations and upload them to my Apple account so that I can listen to them and program shortcuts and things with them. I used to use iMovie pretty often because it was really easy to edit and create videos. But as far as numbers and I don't even know what the word processing
So you
app is
have
called.
for Apple's ones it's Pages, Numbers, and Keynote.
Pages. Yeah,
So
Pages, Keynote, and Numbers.
because that's the thing.
However,
You go on.
I would choose apples. I mean apples.
Apples. You choose
I would
apples.
choose
Not
apples
peaches?
over oranges. Yes. No, Apple products. So Pages, Keynote, and Numbers. I would choose those over Excel,
PowerPoint and
Word, and PowerPoint in the Microsoft suite. But if I have a choice, if I'm a student and you're like, you can choose whatever you want, Tisha, I am absolutely 100% choosing Google Docs.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You would choose Google Docs over Microsoft Word or Apple Pages.
Yes. I would choose the Google suite tools over Microsoft every time. And I'll tell you why. I've experienced now in my role at Smart where we're using both platforms, you know.
Yep.
And the other day I tried to I work a lot with the community members and the ambassadors. So I was trying to share a PDF from my OneDrive to a community member, right? And I just wanted it to be viewable. And it was like, oh, you can only share this for 90 days. And then it's like they won't have access. Okay, but I want them to have access after 90 days. And there's Microsoft is overwhelming, first of all. There are too many choices, too many options, too many settings, too many things. For an ADHDer like me, I just want to shut down when I have to get there.
Yeah.
Google, for my brain, is more intuitive when you're looking at the UX, the UI, the way that the tools play together, the how do I say it? The ease of use when I am trying to get something quickly sent to someone, when I'm trying to do a calendar invite, when I'm trying to do a Google Meet. It is more intuitive, and I just like the workflow better. I don't find that I struggle so much. I don't find that I get to a certain point and I just want to quit. Yeah. The shortcuts work well for me, all of the tools, and then I get into Excel and I'm like, why isn't it letting me do what? Okay, I'll give you an example. Let's say that I'm in Excel on my OneDrive and I'm trying to create a spreadsheet, and then I want to link some text in the cell to a website externally, right?
Yep.
So in Google, I would just highlight that word and I would do the shortcut, which is like Command K or whatever.
I was going to say, can you not remember the shortcut that you use?
No, because I do it like I don't even think about it. Yeah. So I'm like, I do that and then I paste it and then it's there and I move on. No. In Excel, it doesn't let me do that. It wants to throw a fit. Or in Microsoft Outlook, I'm like, and there are TikToks about this. I'm like, I will type in the keyword for the email I want that I know I saw, and it was like, oh, doesn't exist. No, but it does. Where is it? And it will not find it for me. In Google, in Gmail, in the calendar, I can find what I need so quickly and efficiently that I don't have to stop. And my brain, just keeps going and I can get to the next thing. When I work in Microsoft, my ADHD, I just want to shut down for the day. It's so frustrating as a learner, as a leader. So I don't know. That's where I'm at, Rick. Google for me all day long. I know we're not supposed to take sides publicly, but I am.
We can do with certain things. I mean,
if there's somebody from Microsoft listening, if someone from Microsoft is listening and you would like for me to speak to your product team, would love to.
And you need a whole redesign of your whole Microsoft Office suite. Well, I'm going to put maybe a little bit of a spanner in the works for you, Tish.
Okay.
We might not be friends after this.
Oh, good.
I like the Microsoft Office suite.
I'm going to log off now.
Okay, see you later. That is the end of the Player 3 podcast for eternity. No. I'm going to put a caveat in, though. I like the Microsoft Office suite only if it's me that's going to be using the application, the file, the application,
Singly.
whatever. It's individual use. If
Okay,
I need to collaborate... Here you go. If I need to collaborate, I will use Google. I'll use Google Suite because it is easier to share and have something simplistic.
Okay, The
But if I want
collaboration
more
piece.
advanced, I will use something like Microsoft.
So that would be the complete opposite of what every other reason is for people to use Microsoft. Think about it. It's whole organizations, whole schools, whole teams. They are collaborating, and literally what you said
Mm-hmm.
debunks the idea that it's helping people do the things they need
Well,
to.
it's
You and
not
I.
helping. It's not helping us. This is the thing. We have to make sure that we're clear that just because it's not helping us doesn't mean it's not helping others.
I agree. I agree. I
And it
agree.
might
I know
feel more
there's a
complex. I
way,
think
not
there's
the
a way,
way.
not the way.
I
And the
know.
thing I think why Microsoft Office is doing obviously still better than a lot of other suites in this kind of space is because most individuals who have now left school grew up with Microsoft Office. When I was at school, we didn't have Google, we didn't have Apple, we just had Microsoft Office, and you learn from that.
Yeah.
We're all still in the workforce, so in a sense, it's gonna allow Microsoft to dominate. But
Do you think it's going to change
that
as
was going to be my
students grow up?
question. I think it will. I think that we are seeing obviously Google and not so much Apple, I don't think, in that kind of space. But I definitely think the Google suite is beginning to take a little bit more of the market. I have no fact on that. I have no numbers to actually back that up. But I think that by having the flexibility there and allowing people to use the tools that they feel most comfortable with is going to become a major factor. And the likes of the Microsoft suite is going to be slowly phased out of some companies. But at the same
Yeah, because a
time,
lot of students are using Chromebooks. There's a lot of
there
Chromebook
is.
one-to-one. And if you think about it, Chromebooks, they're using Google, right?
Yeah, they're using Google, but how many Chromebooks do you see in a more corporate environment?
No, not many.
They're
Not many.
mostly Microsoft. Microsoft has always dominated the office space. Apple, the
I
more
was gonna
creative space.
I was gonna say, based on your the collaboration piece. Remember when we were writing the book? Of course,
Oh
I'm
my
doing another
goodness.
plug. Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders.
Available on Amazon and your local store.
Inspire your students to succeed in school and beyond by Tisha Poncio and Rick Butterworth. Available on Amazon, ISTE, Target, Barnes & Noble. And Rick will put the link in the show notes. But I was thinking, when you said collaboration, if you remember, so when Rick and I were writing the book, we started off writing in Google. On Google Docs.
'Cause that's
And
what we
I was
preferred.
happy as a clam.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like ready. And then at a certain point, we were asked to pull it over into OneDrive, into Microsoft Word. And I'm not kidding. You remember, I had to be taught off of a ledge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But
I remember
we also hit a number of issues with it, like, because
we did.
We were
We
only
did.
we were using the online version. So knowing
Yes.
that Google's suites are online, we thought, well, we'll use Microsoft's online Office suite.
Sure.
And it was so limited.
Yeah.
It
was
so
frustrating.
limiting. And
So frustrating. And we had
technical
issues getting our
issues, and
files
it was-
over to the editors. It was actually
whole
kind of
thing.
it was frustrating. And I think, again, this is larger corporations and organizations and entities, to your point, who are older, making these decisions for whole organizations and groups of people. And then the people who are in there are frustrated. You know what? I'd be willing to bet, Rick. I'd be willing to bet
You'd
that
be
the people
willing to
make the
bet.
decision on choosing Microsoft and all of that. I'd be willing to bet that, do they know how to use it? Are they struggling? Are they
Probably
just
not.
picking it because you don't think they're struggling?
They know. Oh yeah, I believe they are. I think that, but they're using it for what they know, and that's all that they're using it for. And they're unwilling to actually move to a different system, which comes to my next question.
There might also be security. Is there a security issue?
There's security, yeah. There'll be security things that Microsoft obviously keeps on top.
Because I
of a
have
lot
to
more
authenticate when I want to click a button.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of authentication and security and stuff when it comes to Microsoft, especially being in the corporate world, which, yeah, that can be a massive factor. But it comes to my next question about adaptability. Because obviously we talk about
Okay.
being adaptability within our book. It's important for
Yes.
students to be able to change into something that is in their environment, whether that is work. And I would say, how would you say your ability to adapt to something when it comes to technology is, Tish? Knowing that you went from a Google Suite Slack
Hmm.
system to then moving
Well,
to
here I'll
Microsoft
tell
Suite,
you.
Microsoft
I'll tell
Teams,
you.
everything
Here's
Microsoft.
my technology lifetime
Mm,
timeline. My technology timeline went Google.
mhm.
I remember my first Toshiba laptop, like early days of all of that. I mean, not Google, Microsoft. It was all Microsoft. It was all, remember the old one? Oh my God, on the typewriter. Like I go way back to all of
Yep.
those. Then I went Microsoft, did Microsoft for a very, very long time. Then was introduced to Apple in like 2007. And then around, I don't know, 2008 or 9, maybe, we introduced
Mhm.
Google into our school. And then I took off with Google, like very quickly became a Google certified trainer, was training people on Google, loved the different, I'm losing the word, but I could use Google and I could use other digital tools. They all work together very seamlessly. And
Mhm.
so I think then I went to Wakelet. We were Google, we were Slack, right? We were Notion. I
Yeah.
got really used to those, loved all of those. And then now in my current role, in my day job, I'm Microsoft, Google, Teams, uh, um, I'm trying to think of it's ClickUp.
ClickUp.
It's like all of these things. And I will tell you, I have struggled with moving into those spaces because every single one of them is so overwhelming with the option and the choices. And some of them are standalone and some of them don't work together. And I don't know if it's as I'm getting older, I'm getting less agile in that flexibility. Like,
Mhm.
you laugh, but I mean, think about it. As we get older, we kind of, it's not a myth that we're like, well, we like this and this is how we work better. We learn how we are most productive, and
Mhm.
anything that isn't that way is frustrating,
But
So I think,
isn't that more down to the how adaptable you can actually be though? Because if
well,
you're
yeah,
saying
but
about if you're going to say that you're going to be set in your way, aren't you just repeating what the
I'm trying
previous
not to be,
generations
okay? I'm
are doing
trying
when it
not to
comes to the
be.
likes of Microsoft being in every single corporation
Yeah.
no
I think
environment?
I think it's a constant learning for me and for everyone else. And I do think
Mm.
there are people who get to kind of that point and go, no, I'm just shutting down. My cousin, I pick on him a lot on this podcast because he tells me a lot of things, but he's like, I just don't want to learn it, Tisha. I'm too
Yeah.
old to be learning these things. And again, it comes down to a mindset. I try my best to become flexible and agile in those new technology spaces, but
Mm.
I know what I love. And I think sometimes, especially with the way my brain works, I want to be the most efficient, productive. I want to have room for creativity. And if I am too busy trying to sort out an application and how it works, I am losing a lot of time,
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I can understand that because you essentially become a bit too the you can have the fear of actually being too locked in on a product
yeah.
because even if something becomes difficult with the platform you're using, it will be more effort to switch to another platform that actually makes that thing easier. It's
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
one hurdle to switch that stops us from actually doing it.
Well,
Even
you're
if on the other end
segueing
it's going to
us.
be I'm
I love
segueing it
that you've segued into my topic for today, which is we have an ASCD article out based on our book. It's a blog, went out on the 4th of September. We have not talked about it yet. Supporting an
because we've only
entrepreneurial
just found it.
mindset. Well, supporting an entrepreneurial mindset in classrooms. And you were talking about that entrepreneurial mindset just now when
Mm-hmm.
you were talking about all the things with this Microsoft versus Google. This article is really based on our book, which I've already plugged,
You've
but
already
I'm going to
held
show it
that up to
again
them.
because, I haven't been doing my book break. So imagine that this is a mini book break. So it's, again, student-driven learning experiences that help cultivate problem solving and innovation in our world, right? And
Yeah.
so thinking about that teaching strategy in the classroom. And this article basically says the jobs of tomorrow will require creativity, adaptability. See, there's your point. Again,
Mm-hmm.
you segued us. And entrepreneurial thinking. How do we prepare students to be leaders and innovators? And it brings up our book, and it talks about, we're talking about in the book, the strategy is examining your classroom dynamic, making small shifts that will boost the student creativity and the critical thinking.
Mm.
And I've said multiple times that I believe that the sign of wealth for the future is the ability to take in knowledge and critically think through that knowledge and problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we talked with Jillian about student creativity and how in the beginning of elementary and little learners, there's all kinds of imagination and creativity, and the fear of imperfection really is non-existent. Maybe a little bit of it, but not a lot. And then by the time they get into middle school or high school, they're just filled with fear of their own voice, worrying about their thinking differently. They're losing
Mm-hmm.
creativity and the capacity to be creative. And it's as if we've trained them to not think or think about being creative.
Yeah.
And I say this because I've just recently, I think I've said it on a couple of podcasts, started doing watercoloring and started playing the piano more and journaling and, doing
Mm-hmm.
Sudoku puzzles to kind of get my brain in a different space.
Broaden your mind.
So this article is really just kind of an excerpt from our book. To guard against these things happening in your classroom or school, you can watch for warning signs. So one of the signs that we talk about, and we talked about with Jillian, but is asking yourself questions. Asking yourself questions if you're a leader. Asking yourself questions if you're a parent. Who's doing all the talking in the classroom? Is
Mm-hmm.
it the teacher? Or is it the students talking to each other? Is it the students presenting to each other? Is it the students asking questions? Is the teacher, are the students the most engaged in the learning environment? Like, as a teacher, I remember early on exerting so much energy, and it's because I was the one talking all day, and I am
Yeah.
not proud of that, right? Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
not something I'm proud to say out loud. I learned the better way. Are students
A
expected
better
to
way
wait for
or a new way?
well, for me, it was a better way. It may not be
Mm-hmm.
a better way for someone else, but it is a new and better way for me. I
Mm.
I saw my students grow in ways
You
when I
fa-
switched.
you found a way to change your way of teaching to help improve the students be
Right.
better.
Outcome. Hmm. The other thing is, are students expected to wait for permission to be inquisitive and ask questions? So I was this student. I thought that I needed to have permission. I grew up in
Mm-hmm.
the generation where you were supposed to be seen and not heard.
Heard. Yeah.
So I was holding on to my questions, but I think students questioning things without having to wait for permission is what prompts them to learn critical thinking skills. Are questions even allowed without control and compliance? Like, I mean, honestly, I'll use myself as an example in just my own childhood. When I would ask my mom questions, she did not like that. She did not want me to ask questions because she thought it was a sign of disrespect that I was questioning her. So every question I asked, she
Mm,
took personally, right? And
yeah.
I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I now know where I am now is I genuinely like to know the why and the how. And I just want to study it, right?
And again, that all comes back to, as we've already said in this podcast and numerous podcasts before, feedback and reflection. You're
Yes.
giving feedback, the person's taking it personal. We have to be able to understand how to receive that information and
And don't you
actually
think it's
process
important?
that.
In the spaces, we were talking corporate
It's
spaces,
important in anything.
organizational spaces, entrepreneurial spaces. It is important in anything, but I'm really focused kind of on this article and the excerpt from our book. Entrepreneurs who build products and offer a service absolutely will confirm that a team working together towards a common goal helps to accelerate production and scalable growth. Do you agree?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. I hope you do
100%.
because we wrote that in our book.
Yeah. You know
But
what? I'm
I think
gonna go against everything I wrote in the book. No, it isn't. No, absolutely it is. I mean, you can. The thing is, we can all do something individually. So we're not
mhm,
saying that individual work is not good. No, it is
right.
good.
I
You
need
can
deep thinking days.
elevate
Mhm.
your thinking and your outcomes and stuff with the introduction of other people.
Yeah.
Because even if the people that are working with you, let's say they're not able to up the quality of something,
Mhm.
that's not a bad thing because it's shown you all the things that don't up the quality of something.
Mhm.
Learning
Mhm.
what doesn't work is just as valuable as what does work.
Yes, that's so
It's
good.
it's not going to just be. It's like the saying that I find funny, and I take this into what I build and stuff. If you lost your keys, the old saying of oh, it's always in the last place you look. Well, you're not going to find them and then just keep looking, are you? It's always going to
No.
be in the last place you look. You're not going to continue looking. But when it comes to this way of working and how we work together, we're not going to get to the end and say, oh, we improved it, therefore we're going to stop. No, you're going to keep going. You're
Mhm.
going against that kind of saying of find it, you stop. No, you're going to find something and then you're going to find something else. You're going to find the next thing. You're going to do the next thing. Even if it was the wrong thing, you're going to
Mm.
keep going.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. I think the thing that you said earlier was, yes, you want to have these team building moments, this collaboration, but it's equally as valuable as having deep focus days. And that is something that I really aim for in my day job is being able to have a deep thinking day. Some days I just need to think.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm always collaborating, I am not giving my brain time to think.
To
If I'm always in
process.
a conversation with someone, if I have back to back meetings all day long for 5 days a week,
Yep.
I have not allowed my brain and brain science. Listen, I mean, go research it. If you're listening and you don't believe it, go research it. You need to allow your brain time to process those collaborative moments to your
Reflection.
point to come back and be better. Yes, it's that reflection piece, the
Mm-hmm.
deep focused reflection work. And sometimes I need that. I think one of the things that we say, and this is what we want you to consider. So I'm just again pulling from this article based on what Rick is saying. Are students engaging in group discussions in person or online? Are you allowing those students to engage in group discussion? And is it balanced? Are you balancing group discussion with individual moments of reflection? Are the assignments balanced with individual assignments and group projects? When you're looking at your grade book, your year at a glance, do your lesson plans or your assignments reflect an imbalance, right? If everything is individual work, then you're not giving that group time to learn
Mm-hmm.
that collaboration. And I believe it is very difficult. And I will tell you, I saw it when I was a teacher. I sometimes see it as an adult. It's very difficult for some people. They want to silo themselves into a role or a project of work. And I think it is because that's what we've trained them to do. So we can't necessarily be critical. I say this all the time. You can't be critical of students who become adults in the workplace who just want
Mm-hmm.
to work alone. We taught them that with the way the school system is set up. So if we want it to change, we have to challenge it where
Yeah.
it's happening, right?
I think just to expand on that one though, because I've been in that situation where I've wanted to work on something just individual as an individual.
Right.
And I think there's multiple factors for why I might want to do that. It could
Okay.
be that I've been, like you were saying, I've been doing a lot of collaboration work I need to just work on. I need that
Yes.
time to focus for
Yes.
myself. Then there could be the, well, I don't like working with this group of people. This is who I
Yeah,
would
that's
have to
true.
collaborate with. I don't like working with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a bigger thing that we have to look at, that, look, you may need to collaborate on something, and you might not like the people you're collaborating with, but you need to learn how to adapt and actually be able to work in that kind of group. They might not
Yeah.
fully align with you, but it's good practice to learn how to work with different people, because everybody's different. You and I could
The same
easily say
thing that you were telling me with Google and Microsoft, essentially.
exactly, and it's like, what? Let's take me for example. I did enjoy doing some little projects by myself, no inclusion of anyone
Hmm.
else, and I could easily say, oh yeah, I'm not a fan of collaborating and everything. What am I doing right now?
Collaborating.
I'm collaborating with you, creating a podcast.
Yeah.
So that means I'm wrong when I say I don't like collaborating, because I'm collaborating with you. So therefore, I
okay, but
enjoy working with you, collaborating on the
right.
podcast.
Right.
So that's why I'm
But
saying.
think about it. We both take very intentional time separately to think about what we want to talk about, to think about guest invitations.
Yes.
Like, we still take that individual time on this project, and then we come together. So it isn't either or, it's an and.
Yes.
Collaborate and take time individually, right?
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree with you.
I think this article, I love this article, and I love that. I mean, I hope I love the book that we wrote, because we wrote it. It would be really sad if I didn't like our book
Have you read our
anymore.
book yet?
I've read our book.
You've read our book.
Look,
well, you said you
I've
hope
read
you
it.
like it, so I'm assuming that.
Well, I'm being
if you
sarcastic.
say, oh, okay. I
I'm
was
saying,
taking
like,
you literal.
of course I like the book. I wrote the book. It would be really sad if I didn't like my own book, right? I think what I love about this particular piece, though, at the very end, it says, many students learn by doing, an approach that Rick has always found to be the most impactful for his own growth, especially when accommodating his dyslexia in a work environment. Engaging and working with local businesses or community projects gives students a chance at practical experiences and insights into real-world problem solving, making their learning more meaningful and applicable to real-life scenarios. When students can view and do in a classroom instead of sit and get, the age-old student-teacher script is completely flipped and creates a synergy in the classroom that has students thinking in a different way and teachers facilitating curiosity and communication. And that is my contribution for today's podcast. Thank you so much for having me, Rick.
You're very welcome. And on to next week's episode, we'll be having...
No. No, you're going to talk to me about somebody's glasses, is what I see on my notes today.
My very special
your
glasses, my Quicksilver glasses. No,
okay.
So obviously we've talked about tech and everything, and we've said about how technology... Well, Tish said that she's getting old and doesn't want to start learning new technology. So she's
That's not true.
If this is the way the world's going to go, Tish, you better be ready to be like that old person, grumpy, like, back in my day,
I got my master's in... No, you sound like Jace now, but I got my master's in learning technologies, emerging technologies, instructional design.
How can you get a master's in all that and start complaining about I'm getting old and don't want to change things?
I really didn't want our podcast to be a fight, but if we have to.
Well, you know what? Why not? Why not? Let's bring
Here's
some
the thing.
behind the scenes moments to the
point. I know. My point is that I got that degree, and it is right behind me in my office, to remind myself essentially that it doesn't matter our age. We should continuously be challenging ourselves with the emerging technology. So I am not going to shut down on my learning. I'm going to continue.
Good.
Okay. So I guess somebody's glasses has something to do with technology.
Yes, it certainly does. So obviously we've had the release of the new iPhone. Every September is iPhone.
I didn't get it.
You didn't.
Shout out to Ryan McGinnis. He told me he got a new phone.
Oh.
We are really proud of him.
And then
he
you
got
find
the
out
slim.
it was an Android.
No, he got the new iPhone, the slim, sexy version,
Oh,
and
the
not the
Air one.
giant. Yeah,
He
I
got the
think
actual
so.
new Air one, which is like
Yeah,
super thin.
he got that one,
Which I have
which is
my
very
opinions on it.
unlike Ryan McGinnis.
He likes to go for the more expensive, top of the range,
I think he liked like a new
like we did.
iPad, or he always
Yeah,
gets something different. But
yeah.
yes,
So
the new iPhone is out. I did not get it.
yes, neither have I, because I've got the 16. I've got last year's one, but knowing that the one before that was the 11, so I do like to
I don't
wait
know
a
what I
big gap.
have.
You have the 14, I think it is.
No, I don't.
We were watching
Don't
the Apple
say
events
that.
and you said I'm going to get a new phone. Anyway,
I
my
have
whole
the iPhone 16 Pro. Thank you very much.
Oh, did you upgrade to the 6? I can't remember. When did you do? Oh yeah, I remember now. My bad.
That was mean
Sorry,
and
I
judgmental.
apologize. I apologize. I deeply apologize. Anyway, the game we're getting off track. So obviously Apple released their new iPhones, which, I mean, I like Apple, but it's not very innovative, is it? When you see,
No,
like,
it's
if you
not.
compare,
Not anymore. Rest in peace,
everyone
Steve
does
Jobs.
agree that you look at the iPhone 11 all the way to now the 17. There isn't much innovation on it. There really isn't. I mean,
Does it
we have to be
coincide with the
honest.
year that Steve Jobs died?
More or less. I remember that when Steve Jobs passed away, people were saying Apple's only got a couple of years of innovation left, because that's obviously they're working on projects into the future. And I mean, you can go watch stories and everything. Apparently, Steve Jobs was very product focused with the likes of Johnny Ives. Then Tim Cook come in. He's been very financial side, because he was I can't remember if he was the CFO or the COO, but he was very much of the company's bank balance, and being very particular on costings. And it became more about the cost of a product and making the most profit from it than making it innovative and
This is why he
and
needs to
fresh.
collaborate more with the product people. This is why. This is a perfect example of what you said.
It's apparently one of the reasons why Johnny Ives left the company.
It sounds like he got very focused on the money and forgot about everything else.
What was actually important to Apple, what Steve Jobs actually stood for when it came to Apple's products. But anyway, you've got Apple who are doing these things. You've got Microsoft that really is very similar. Now we've got Meta.
Yeah,
which you don't think really much about, because they've had such negativity in the past with privacy and everything. But have you seen, they did a deal with Ray-Ban a while ago with those glasses with the camera in. Have you seen?
Yeah, did you know those are banned from the school?
I'm not surprised. But have you seen the new one?
No.
So they 10 months ago, Meta did like a little private demos of a prototype of smart glasses, where you could see notifications. Remember the Google Glass? That little glass
I don't think
block?
This is for ADHD people, but go ahead.
I'm not saying it is.
I mean, I'm just imagining me now, like with just what you said. Okay, let me get in the car and drive. Oh my God, I have a notification. I'm not going to be okay driving. Who thought of this?
Well,
there needs to be a doctor approval for these glasses.
Well, basically if you go and Google the Ray-Ban Meta new glasses, they don't cover the entire glasses. They only are partially, but Meta did a prototype demo 10 months ago, and it wasn't that you could tell it was a prototype. It wasn't a product that they could sell. It would cost, if they said if it was to be sold to the public, it would cost 10 grand. And 10 months later, they have released a product. It's going to cost $800 apparently.
I see that.
It has WhatsApp, uses phone calls using WhatsApp. You've got Instagram, all these kind of things. Apparently, they're going to have a marketplace for apps in the future. They don't have one right now. But what's really interesting is there's a wristband you wear with it that you
it matches the glasses.
Well, it matches.
Is that right?
Basically, you gesture with your fingers. You can actually. It showed a demo of someone drawing letters on their knee, and the bracelet is able to pick up, and you're able to see you writing it on the glasses. Like, it's the thing is, it seems so crazy that we go from a phone, a watch. People have talked about glasses for a long time. Google tried to do it. They were way too ahead of their time for it. It was too early. Meta is now producing something that is. It actually looks really impressive for a first product. It's like when the iPhone first came out.
Yeah.
BlackBerry was very much of, it's gonna die. They're not gonna do anything good with it and everything, and they were so wrong. Meta's come out with something that is very different to everybody else. There's been
Oakley. They
rumors
also have
that
Oakley Meta Vanguard smart glasses that's sportier. So you're saying that, like, if Michael Jordan were still playing basketball, like, he'd have his glasses on while he's playing a game, and he could, like, what is the point? I genuinely see, you're gonna, like, give me a hard time about my age and, like, my whole attitude about technology. I still am going to come at things as an instructional technology specialist and go, what is the point? How is that going to help society be better? How is that going to help me be more efficient in my job? Because I'm already overloaded with notifications on my phone, on my watch, on my Teams, on my this. At what point is it too much? Is he trying to replace all of that?
So this is I mean, that's the thing. You don't really know what those are going to be, because you could go back 30 years and say, what is the point of a smartphone?
Yeah, okay, well, I'll go down in history as being the
'Cause
person that says, what is the point?
with the glasses, exactly. Because the thing is, you've got
If
the tablets
Zuckerberg
came
is
out, watches
listening,
came out, phones came out. I mean,
Zuckerberg, if you were listening, or anybody from the Meta team, I'm here. I am ready to give you my
explain to me
perspective
the
on your
point on
product.
why
Like,
I should have
I
a
think
screen on my
maybe
glasses.
I should be a consultant, Rick, and because you used to give me a hard time about, like, finding all the bugs in Wakelet, and, like,
Yep.
I just come at things from a completely different perspective. I should consult and, like, tell people, I will try your product and I will do all of the testing, and I will come at you with all my criticisms so that you can sort them out before it goes public.
The thing is, again, when we go back to feedback and reflection, I think
I
everybody's just going to
know.
listen to you going, my God, this one just doesn't understand technology. It's like one
Oh,
of those, like, oh, here we go, not understanding the future.
just a standard
and
teacher, but now I'm just a standard person, apparently.
But
I mean,
I saw the technology, and I thought, I've always thought that when you've got, like, VR, when we're merging
yeah,
virtual reality, artificial reality with real world, you're going to need products that are going to do that. Because it's like when the watch came out, why do I need a watch? Why do I need a computer on my wrist? Why
I
do
just
I
need
need
to
a
find
phone?
my
Why do
phone.
I need this? Why do I need? I mean, Bill Gates got questioned on, was it David Letterman? Like, what's the, like, talking about the internet? Oh, I can listen to a sports game on the internet, and they just went, well, have you heard of a radio?
Yeah, I
It's
remember
like,
that clip.
why do we need this? I can't see what the true power of glasses, wearable tech, because I don't
Yeah,
think I've fully utilized a watch. I
right.
can't see the full benefits, but I'm sure that something's going to come along that's actually going to fit into the world more, that takes
I,
away the likes of a phone and gives
I
us
think you might be
something
onto something
else.
with sort of the generational thing you were talking about earlier, because, possibly as these kids you were talking about are going to grow up and become leaders into these workplaces, they're going to make different decisions. Maybe they don't want to use Microsoft. Maybe they're going to use something else because of,
Mm-hmm.
kind of their mentality and attitude about technology. Maybe it's the same thing. All the kids that are using these AR, VR headsets and everything, maybe they will find a beneficial, productive use for these glasses in a way that we
Mm,
can't even think about. I think the other piece of that is you're still going to have people teaching and supporting and hand holding on how to utilize
absolutely.
this. I mean,
Absolutely.
listen, I sat with my cousin trying to just teach him how to create a TikTok account. I mean, imagine trying to lead somebody to hand gesture something that communicates with their glasses to send a message out on WhatsApp.
But it's always going to be the older generations that's going to be doing
Always.
that.
You're
Always.
absolutely
It's going to be,
right.
they're
You're
the
absolutely
ones that are
right.
going to be needed to have their hands held through these systems.
Well,
I mean, I could see in the future, I mean, Apple kind of did it with their Vision Pro. You can hook up your laptop to the Vision Pro and then have numerous screens on
true.
that no one else can see.
You're right.
I can see that becoming a future, and the fact that Meta have created a bracelet that allows you to scroll, turn up volumes, write text messages, all that, without a screen, without a touchpad, without these physical things, bar a bracelet, and you're using your hands. It's, in my opinion, it's a step forward to merging virtual reality and the real world, and removing some of the noise
so
that
I
we
have
have,
some
like keyboards
downsides
and mice.
because I like to be negative Nancy.
You always like to be negative Nancy when it comes to what this is where our debating kind of goes in, because I'm like pushing this. I love innovative technology. I love the ideas that people come up with.
I love it too.
And then, you show an interesting way of doing it, because it's like, well, I'm going to be negative. Here's my opinion.
No, I'm just like being I want to critically think through it with you. I love it also. Let's critically think through it together. Privacy and surveillance concerns. If you are wearing your Meta glasses and I'm just on the street, I have not given you permission to put me on your Facebook Live. I do not want to be on Facebook Live. I do not want my face out there. Like, that is a whole thing that I'm thinking of.
Can I answer that response?
No, not yet, because I want to give you all of these downsides.
Okay.
I also am thinking about, like, my prescription for my glasses might be super strong. Maybe I can't have those glasses because my lens prescription is so strong. Therefore, I'm never going to be able to wear these glasses. So that sucks. Battery life is always an issue for everyone. Like, like, how's that going to work? You know, on my phone, I can put the little mag safe thing here. What am I doing with my glasses? Am I like taking them off at lunch and like setting them down to charge? The cost, that is insane. Like, I know I say that with my phone. You're going to say, Tisha, how much did you pay for this phone? I already know where you're coming at it. I get it. But what's going to make people get the laptop, the phone, the watch, and the glasses? I mean, is that like a Christmas gift, like special package altogether for the price of $199? I don't know. And then I just think, I'm always going to think about reliability and problems with the UX. I'm always going to think about that. Like, something goes wrong and I'm driving. I don't know. I just come back to driving. I don't know why. But then also, I'm sure there are app limitations. I just can't see it all. And you're welcome to now challenge me back.
Okay. So first off, the camera in public approach. If you don't want to be on camera, don't go out in public, because there are numerous cameras pointing at you anyway.
Okay, that's fair, but where are those cameras at?
Well, surveillance cameras, every shop you walk into, every
like
street
CCTV,
you walk down.
I got it. Yes,
they're all recorded.
Okay, but
or someone's taking a photo or doing a video of themselves, and you just happen to walk past in the background. I think someone said, like, every day that you walk outside, you go outside to the shops or whatever, you're captured 40 times, I think it was, in a day.
I don't go out to shops anymore.
But you go out.
He rolled his eyes at me. If you're not watching this video, that's a first in 20 episodes.
You drive, don't you? Speed cameras.
Yes, I know.
Surveillance.
Okay. Listen, our debate could go on. You have really great points, and I do too.
Hold on.
And that
you gave me what? You gave me 5 points.
Okay.
5 reasons. And you gave me the first one.
We're at, I don't know, 68 minutes of this podcast.
Yeah, we're at 68 minutes, so we won't go into all of Tisha's points. But you know what? If you've made it this far, it'd be great to hear what your thoughts are on innovative technology, and especially like these Meta glasses. It's blending similar to what Microsoft have done with their work Vision Pro from Apple. Is this the next step forward in innovation? Not to say that glasses is the thing, but what do you think on it? It'd be nice to know what people's thoughts are.
Please
So
tell
please
Rick.
comment.
Rick would love for you to comment, and you can also email him at pe3info@gmail.com. And you can follow us on all socials, Play at 3 Podcast. I'm at Tisha Poncio on all socials. I'm sorry. I had to do
My socials will be in the description below. Just go check it there.
We would love to engage with you. And if you want to be a guest on our podcast and debate with Rick and I about any topic related to emerging technology, education, our book, or anything in between, we would love to hear from you. I welcome it. Let's debate. Let's definitely do that. We just are really glad to spend time with you, and we hope you're listening. Please share these episodes if they're meaningful to you, and tag us as well. And we will see you again very soon. Bye. Thank you for being a part of this episode. Continue the conversation with us online. Subscribe and follow, and let us know if you'd like to join as a guest or if there's someone you'd like to hear from.
We'd love to connect with you on X, Instagram, and TikTok. All links and show notes will be available in the episode description. Until next time, keep learning, growing, and playing.